Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Maker. It has been a very long time since I have uploaded anything to YouTube, and that is because I moved. And that will be obvious. If you've seen any of my older videos, you can tell that I'm in a brand new shop. It took a long time to unpack the house and set up the new shop in the garage. So for the first project in my new shop, I thought I'd start off with something small. Get started and get the ball rolling, so to speak, with all the other videos that I have planned. So I'm going to fix my wedding ring. The epoxy lining, as you can see here, is falling apart. I ended up having to make this ring out of a brass bolt several years ago because I lost the first 3 wedding rings that my wife got me. She said she wasn't going to buy me any more, and I needed a cheap solution for a new one. So this epoxy lining lasted about 2 months, and I need a more permanent solution. And so I am going to be putting a new lining in the ring made out of zinc. So first thing I'm going to do is just scrape out as much of this epoxy that I can do with one of my sharp carving knives. After carving this close to my bare hand, I suddenly remembered the 100 or so scars on my hand sustained from previous sharp objects. So I decided at least to put a glove on to add a small layer of protection. So after carving out the majority of the epoxy, I bust out the Dremel to make a clean surface on the inside. After removing all the epoxy, this was my attempt to roughen the inside of the ring so that the zinc would adhere as best as possible to the inside of the ring. Alright, now I don't need much of a mold, I just need essentially a layer on the bottom that won't burn up when I pour in the molten metal. Now this isn't real sand casting sand, this is actually my daughter's moon sand, but it's going to work just fine for zinc. Zinc, it's not too hot when you heat it up, as a very low melting point. And here I'm putting a small divot in the sand so that the metal goes beyond the rim of the bottom of the ring. So here's my tiny little crucible I got off of Amazon, and that's what I'm going to be using to melt my zinc. Zinc has a very low melting point, so it only took me about 2 minutes or so to completely melt all the zinc that was in this crucible. So I'm putting some flame to this ring to make sure there aren't any red letters that show up. Now, anytime that you take molten metal and pour it into a casting, you want to make sure that casting is hot. You don't want molten metal going into something that is relatively cold, because then you'll get an explosion. Think about a frozen turkey going into a pot of boiling oil. Now that the zinc is fully melted, I'm going to very carefully and steadily pick it up with these tongs. Now before I pour this in, I need to make sure that I burn my tabletop. And boy, look at that steady hand. I can't believe I pulled that off. Now it's only been about 3 minutes or so, but it's quite cool. So pulling it out, looking pretty good. Looks like the zinc is all the way through the ring. That will do. So I just want to hog out the majority of that zinc that was overflowing from one end of the ring. Attempted to do so with my bare hands, but realized the ring was getting pretty hot, and so decided to use some vice grips to do the rest of the grinding work. So not the best drill job, but it got the job done. So now it's just going to be a bit of grinding, a bit of filing, going to flatten out the edges of the ring, and then I will start carving out the rest of the zinc to fit my finger. I went back and forth with the rat tail file and the Dremel tool to hog out a lot of the zinc in the middle. And eventually got to a place where I could start sizing the ring and testing the fit. Now that I got the general sizing done, I'm just working on smoothing out the middle with some of the sandpaper, make it a smooth and comfortable fit. Trying to round out the very edges of the zinc so that there's no sharp points when putting it on my finger. Now all that is left is to buff up the ring. And as you can see, it shines up very, very nicely for about 2 days. So pretty happy with this ring. The zinc lining is very comfortable, very smooth. I'm sure it's going to last a long, long time. The brass polishes up very nicely and looks good on the hand. I like it.